I stood in front of a narrow mirror in the service hallway of the Golden Savannah Hotel, staring at a woman I barely recognized. The fluorescent light above me flickered, buzzing softly, casting a pale, unforgiving glow over the black vest and crisp white button-down I wore. It fit well. Too well. Like I'd rehearsed this version of myself. The name tag pinned to my chest read Ava. Not my real name. Just a mask. 3 months ago I had been standing in front of a very different mirror. One in my corner office, framed by floor-to-ceiling windows and city lights. Back then I was a senior brand strategist. People paid me obscene amounts of money to read patterns, anticipate behavior, and tell them uncomfortable truths they preferred to ignore. And I was Ryan Caldwell's wife. Tonight I was just another server blending into the background, holding a silver tray and pretending I didn't belong to the man I was here to watch. I smoothed my vest with trembling fingers and forced myself to breathe. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. Control first. Emotion later. That had always been my rule. Ryan hadn't changed all at once. That's the part people don't understand. Betrayal is rarely loud in the beginning. It whispers. Later nights at the office. Phone calls taken in hallways. A new cologne I never bought. Gym visits that came out of nowhere. Haircuts that felt less like maintenance and more like preparation. I told myself it was stress. High finance did that to people. I wanted to believe my marriage was stronger than suspicion. But then 2 weeks ago I found the invitation. The Golden Savannah Charity Gala. Invitation only. No spouses listed. When I asked Ryan about it, he smiled easily, too easily, and told me it was just business. Boring donors. Boring conversations. Nothing I'd enjoy. I smiled back. I nodded. I played my part. But men don't reinvent themselves for boring events. So I made a call. One old favor. One uniform. One night. Now I stood behind a velvet curtain as music floated in from the ballroom. Soft strings layered over the low hum of power. I could hear laughter, the kind that comes from people who never worry about consequences. Deals were being made over champagne flutes. Futures were being negotiated with a handshake. I lifted my tray. Some women wait for betrayal to be explained. I came to watch it happen. The ballroom doors opened and the noise swelled like a wave crashing into shore. I stepped inside slowly, keeping to the edge of the room, eyes scanning every face as if I were simply doing my job. And then I saw him. Ryan Caldwell walked in wearing a dark, tailored tuxedo that fit him like it had been made specifically for this moment. His posture was confident, relaxed, admired. The smile on his face wasn't for business. It was the smile he wore when he knew he was wanted. But he wasn't alone. A young woman walked beside him, her hand resting lightly on his arm as if it belonged there. She was tall and graceful, with long chestnut hair styled in soft waves that brushed her bare shoulders. Her emerald green dress caught the light when she moved, flowing like silk around her body. Ryan leaned in and whispered something to her. She laughed quietly and tilted her head toward him. I forgot how to breathe. I knew her. Lily Carter. A junior accountant. Quiet. Pretty. Invisible in meetings. Or at least she used to be. Tonight she was anything but invisible. They didn't hold hands. They didn't kiss. They didn't need to. Intimacy lived in the space between them. The way Ryan angled his body toward her, the way she leaned in when he spoke, the way he offered her a glass of champagne. She shook her head gently. No thank you, she said. Then she placed her hand on her lower stomach. Just for a second. A small movement. Almost nothing. But I saw it. My heart slammed against my ribs. Women don't refuse champagne at charity galas for no reason. They don't touch their stomachs that way unless something precious is growing inside them. Ryan noticed it too. His eyes softened. His hand brushed her shoulder, protective. Proud. They weren't hiding. They simply didn't think they had to. Around them, powerful guests smiled knowingly. Heads nodded. Eyes lingered. People already knew. Ryan introduced Lily to a man in a dark suit. This is Lily Carter, he said smoothly. She works with me. Works with me. The man smiled in a way that made my stomach twist. Lily shook his hand, confident, comfortable. Like she belonged there. I wanted to scream. Instead, I kept my face calm and my steps steady as I refilled glasses nearby. My marriage was ending in front of me, and I was the only one in the room who had just found out. I didn't drop the tray. I didn't confront them. I didn't fall apart. I turned and walked back into the service corridor like nothing inside me had just shattered. The hallway was cool and quiet. The music faded into a distant echo. I pressed my hand against the wall and closed my eyes for one breath. This wasn't the moment to break. This was the moment to decide. I pulled out my phone and dialed a number I hadn't used in years. Daniel answered on the second ring. "Ava," he said calmly. "Is everything all right?" "No," I replied. "But it will be." Daniel didn't ask unnecessary questions. He never did. "Tell me what you saw," he said quietly. I leaned my shoulder against the cool service hallway wall and stared at the closed ballroom doors as if they might burst open and swallow me whole. My voice stayed steady even though my hands were shaking. "Ryan came with her," I said. "Not like a colleague. Like a choice. They moved together. Everyone knew. And I swallowed. She touched her stomach. Daniel. She's pregnant." There was silence on the other end of the line. Not shock, calculation. "How sure are you?" he asked. "I'm a strategist," I said bitterly. "I read behavior for a living. This isn't new. It's established. Comfortable." "He's proud." Another pause. "Do you want a confrontation?" Daniel asked slowly. "Or do you want the truth?" I didn't hesitate. "I want the truth. Everything." "Then you need proof," he said. "Not feelings. Not instinct. Evidence that survives courtrooms and boardrooms." I looked back toward the ballroom doors. I could hear Ryan laughing now, his real laugh, the one he only used when he felt untouchable. "Get it," I said. Daniel exhaled softly. "I'll have someone there in 30 minutes. I hung up before my voice could betray me. For the first time in weeks, something shifted inside my chest. The panic was still there. The pain was still there. But now it had direction. Strong women don't collapse when they're betrayed. They organize. I straightened my uniform, lifted my tray, and walked back into the gala. This time I wasn't a wife watching her marriage die. I was a strategist watching a plan begin. I moved closer to Ryan and Lily, slow and deliberate, pretending to adjust napkins, refill glasses, exist without being seen. It amazed me how invisible people become when they wear uniforms. Power doesn't look down, it looks through. Ryan placed his hand at the small of Lily's back as they spoke to a group of donors. Casual. He'd never touched me like that in public. I memorized everything. The way Lily leaned in. The way Ryan's thumb brushed her skin. The way his eyes checked the room, not for his wife but for witnesses. I drifted closer when they moved toward the terrace doors. "Careful," Ryan murmured to her. "It's crowded." "I'm fine," Lily said softly. "You worry too much." He smiled. "I like worrying about you." I felt something crack, not loudly but completely. 30 minutes later, a man in a black catering jacket brushed past me. Our eyes met for half a second. He gave the smallest nod. "Daniel's people." The man positioned himself near the terrace. Another server joined him. Then another. Phones hidden. Angles calculated. Time stamped. Evidence stacking quietly while champagne flowed freely. Ryan and Lily stepped outside unaware. I followed at a distance. The night air was cooler on the terrace, heavy with city lights and soft music spilling through the open doors. Ryan stood close to Lily now, no longer pretending. "This won't be much longer," he said. "Once the restructuring is done, we won't have to be careful." Lily smiled. "And your wife?" His jaw tightened for a fraction of a second. "She'll be taken care of." Taken care of. As if I were a loose end. A problem to manage. Lily's hand found his chest. "You promised." "I know," he said. "I always keep my promises." I almost laughed. Almost. The flash was silent. Then another. Then another. Reflections in glass. Proof collecting itself while Ryan spoke lies with confidence. When they went back inside, I stayed behind for a moment, gripping the railing until my knuckles hurt. I didn't cry. Tears are for moments when you still hope something will change. By the time the gala ended, I already knew what I was going to do. I didn't go home that night. I went somewhere safe. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere temporary. I showered, scrubbing the smell of champagne and betrayal from my skin, and lay awake staring at the ceiling as dawn crept in through the curtains. At 6:12 a.m. my phone buzzed. "Daniel, we have enough." I closed my eyes. By the time Ryan unlocked the front door just after sunrise, I was already gone. He stepped inside and frowned. The house was too quiet. No soft music. No coffee brewing. No sound of me moving upstairs. "Ava," he called. Nothing answered him. He walked into the living room, confused at first, until he saw the empty wall above the fireplace. The coastal painting I loved was gone, leaving behind a faint outline like a ghost. Then he noticed the glass cabinet. Still closed. Completely empty. Upstairs he pushed open the bedroom door. The bed was made perfectly flat like a hotel room. His side untouched. My side erased. No dresses. No handbags. No shoes. Not even the velvet hangers I loved. On the nightstand lay two things. My wedding ring. And a thick envelope. Ryan picked up the ring first. Turned it slowly in his fingers. Then he opened the envelope. And everything he thought he controlled began to collapse. I wasn't there when Ryan opened the envelope. I didn't need to be. Some moments are better experienced from a distance, especially when you've planned every detail. I was sitting at a small table in a quiet hotel room across town, sunlight creeping through sheer curtains when Daniel called. "It's done," he said. I closed my eyes and listened. Inside that envelope, Ryan didn't find a letter begging for explanations or closure. He found facts. Clean. Precise. Merciless. The first page was a legal document. Petitioner, Ava Witmore. Respondent, Ryan Caldwell. Divorce filing. Filed at dawn. Ryan must have laughed at first. He always did when he thought something couldn't touch him. He probably muttered something about misunderstandings about me being dramatic. Then he would have turned the page. Photographs. Clear ones. Ryan and Lily leaving a hotel together. Kissing under streetlights. Entering through side doors. Time stamps. Locations. Angles that told a story no one could argue with. Proof doesn't raise its voice. It stands there. Daniel told me Ryan's breathing changed when he saw them. Shallow. Fast. Like a man realizing the ground beneath him wasn't solid after all. The next page was on Witmore and Associates letterhead. Dear Mr. Caldwell. We represent Ms. Ava Witmore in the matter of your divorce proceedings. Ryan would have skimmed, until he saw the words prenuptial agreement. He remembered it. Of course he did. He'd insisted on it himself, proud of how practical he was. Clause 14. Section B. If the primary income earner commits proven adultery, all marital assets, including real estate and company interests, transfer to the injured party. Ryan stopped breathing right there. Daniel said he sat down on the edge of the bed like someone who'd just been pushed. That was when Ryan's phone rang. Daniel again. What is this? Ryan demanded, voice already fraying. This is insane. Ava's lost her mind. You should check your email, Daniel replied calmly. Emergency board notice. Shareholder meeting. Executive suspension. Ryan didn't understand. He never bothered to learn what didn't serve his ego. Ava has nothing to do with the board, he snapped. Daniel paused. Then said the words that cracked Ryan's world clean in half. You really never asked about her family, did you? The truth has weight. It sinks fast. Witmore Group. The angel investment 10 years ago. The money that kept Ryan's firm alive when no one else would touch it. Anonymous by design. Came from my father. I chose not to use the Witmore name. I wanted to be loved, not invested in. Ryan never questioned that. He liked believing I needed him. I didn't. Daniel delivered the final number quietly. 51%. Controlling shareholder. That morning, while Ryan was standing in our empty bedroom, I was sitting in a boardroom wearing black, my attorneys beside me, my voice steady. Ryan Caldwell was removed from his position before lunch. He still didn't understand the full shape of the fall. Not yet. The next email arrived before he could catch his breath. Internal audit notice. Expense reports. Spreadsheets. Line after line of hotels, flights, jewelry, private dining rooms. All charged under project codes. All approved by him. They weren't business expenses. They were Lily. $342,000 of company money. Misappropriated. Documented. Undeniable. By the time the bank froze his accounts, the company had already disclosed everything voluntarily, framing the damage cleanly around one executive. Ryan tried to run ahead of the avalanche. He sent emails to federal authorities, to the press, convinced he was exposing corruption. What he didn't realize was that by the time he hit send, all he was doing was confessing. When the agents knocked on his motel door that afternoon, they already had everything. "You're under arrest for wire fraud and financial misappropriation." Ryan tried to call himself a whistleblower. They called him what he was. I found out later that his entire life fit into one plastic evidence bag. I didn't attend the arrest. I didn't watch the trial. I didn't read the articles more than once. Revenge doesn't require an audience. 5 years passed. I stood on conference stages in tailored black dresses, speaking about ethical leadership and accountability. People listened, not because of my name but because I told the truth without apology. At home my life was quiet. Intentional. I never said Ryan's name again. Some people don't deserve to live in your future. They belong to a past that taught you who you are. Ryan didn't lose his life because I destroyed him. He lost it because he built it on lies, and I refused to carry them for him. I didn't hear from Ryan after that. At least not directly. When someone loses everything all at once, there's a moment, right before reality settles, where they reach for whatever they think can still save them. For Ryan, that wasn't dignity or accountability. It was Lily. I learned later that he called her from the motel, his voice sharp with panic, trying to sound confident while the world collapsed around him. "They're lying," he told her. "The company's trying to make me a scapegoat." She didn't rush to comfort him. Power had always been the language between them, and now he was speaking without it. "I saw the HR notice," she said. "You were terminated for fraud." "That's politics," he insisted. "I just need a place to stay for a few days." There was a pause. Long enough for hope to flicker. "With you," he added. Silence answered him. "I loved what you could give me," Lily finally said. "Not what you've become." When he said her name, begging this time, she told him not to come near her. If he did, she'd call the police. The line went dead. That was the moment Ryan became truly alone. I imagine he sat there afterward, phone still in his hand, staring at nothing. Some betrayals don't come with shouting or slammed doors. They arrive quietly, when you realize even the person you destroyed everything for has already moved on. The arrest came later that afternoon. 2 agents. Neutral expressions. No drama. Handcuffs don't make a sound in movies the way they do in real life. It's not a click. It's a finality. A soft, irreversible confirmation that whatever you thought your life was, it's over. Ryan tried to speak. Tried to explain. Tried to reframe himself as the hero. "I sent the emails," he said. "I'm a whistleblower." The agent nodded once. "We know. That's how we confirmed it was you." Everything he owned was sealed into evidence bags. Wallet, watch, phone. Identity reduced to inventory. I didn't celebrate when I heard. That surprises people. They expect anger, satisfaction, a victorious smile. But what I felt was something quieter. Relief. 5 years passed. Time is strange that way. It rushes when you want it to slow down and stretches when you're trying to survive it. Ryan Caldwell became inmate number 741823. His hair went gray early. His hands grew rough from cleaning floors and lifting trays that no longer held champagne, just plastic plates and tasteless food. No one waited for him anywhere. His mother sent short letters. Polite. Careful. The kind written by someone who loves you but doesn't recognize you anymore. He rarely answered them. The man who once approved million-dollar deals now waited in line to be counted. Power teaches you how to command. Loss teaches you how replaceable you are. My life moved forward differently. I stood on stages under bright lights, speaking about ethical leadership and sustainable finance. Not because I needed redemption, but because I understood systems from the inside. People listened. Not to my last name. To my clarity. Witmore Group expanded under my direction. New markets. New standards. Growth without shortcuts. Accountability without theater. At home life was simple. Dinner cooked slowly. Laughter that didn't need to be impressive. Mornings without secrets. Daniel and I built something honest. Brick by brick, conversation by conversation. No illusions. No power games. Our daughter ran barefoot through the house, her laughter echoing off the walls like proof that something good had come from something broken. I never spoke Ryan's name. Not out of bitterness, but because names carry weight and I refused to let his follow me into a future he no longer belonged to. People misunderstand revenge. They think it means destruction, humiliation, public spectacle. It doesn't. Real revenge is refusing to protect someone from the consequences of their own choices. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I didn't expose him for entertainment. I told the truth in the rooms that mattered. That's why the consequences lasted. Ryan lost everything he built because it was built on lies. And when lies collapse, they don't leave ruins worth mourning. Some endings don't need closure. They need distance. I learned that silence isn't weakness when it's chosen. It's strength sharpened into focus. And I carried that lesson with me, quietly, into every room I entered after. People sometimes ask me if I ever regret how things ended. They ask it carefully, like regret is something fragile that might break if spoken too loudly. As if I might confess that I went too far. That I was too cold. Too calculated. I always give them the same answer. No. Because regret belongs to people who ignore the truth. And I refused to do that. I didn't wake up one day and decide to ruin Ryan's life. I woke up and realized he had already done that, piece by piece, while expecting me to carry the weight of it quietly. I just stopped carrying it. That's the part no one talks about. Betrayal doesn't hurt the most when it happens. It hurts when you realize how long you were expected to stay silent about it. How much of yourself you were supposed to shrink so someone else could stay comfortable. I loved Ryan once. Truly. I believed in him. I built him up in rooms he never knew he'd entered. I softened his rough edges, smoothed his image, defended him when doubt surfaced. And he mistook my loyalty for weakness. That mistake cost him everything. I didn't take revenge with rage. I took it with clarity. I didn't destroy his future. I simply stepped out of the way and let his choices reach their natural conclusion. 5 years after his sentencing, I received a letter from the prison. No return address. Just his handwriting, uneven, unfamiliar. I didn't open it. Some doors don't lead anywhere worth going. I shredded the envelope and went back to my life. Back to meetings that mattered. Back to dinners filled with warmth instead of tension. Back to a home where I never had to question the truth of the person sitting across from me. Peace is expensive. But it's worth the price. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Power doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it looks like restraint. Like patience. Like knowing when to stay quiet. And when to speak with precision. You don't need to be louder than the person who hurt you. You need to be clearer than the lies they told. If you're listening to this and you feel trapped, emotionally, financially, psychologically, hear me when I say this. You are not imagining the cracks. You are not too sensitive. And you are not required to protect someone who is actively betraying you. Strength doesn't always look like confrontation. Sometimes it looks like preparation. Sometimes it looks like gathering facts while everyone else underestimates you. And sometimes, it looks like walking away so cleanly that the only thing left behind is the truth. I didn't win because I was cruel. I won because I was honest, in the right rooms at the right time with the right evidence. And the consequences followed naturally. If this story resonated with you, if it felt uncomfortably familiar, leave a comment and share where you're watching from. You're not as alone as you think. And if you believe that quiet strength, clarity, and self-respect always outlast deception, take a moment to like this story, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more stories where truth, not noise, has the final word. Because the most powerful revenge isn't destruction. It's freedom.